Flight attendant to her fully upright and locked position.
Here we go.
Oh, wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat and buckle up. Seat backs and tray tables in their full upright position. It's another episode of Skip Happens. A view from 30,000 feet. From the first music lesson to the first paid gig to signing the deal, it's the journey that is the life of an artist. Now, here's your captain and co-captain, a.k.a. your hosts, Skip Clark and Deb Lamphear.
And that guy. And that guy. It's a crazy night in the Skip Happens Podzone. It's a good night, though. Deb is my friend Deb Lamphear right there. And, of course, Deb is in Nashville. Again. And I'm stuck in the Northeast. Actually, it's very beautiful. But we have a guest with us here tonight. His name's Kyndon Oakes. And Kyndon has, actually, he's no stranger to the Skip Happens podcast. Because if we take you back a while, we had the group Lockland on the Skip Happens podcast. Kyndon was a part of that group at the time with some other friends of ours. And a big welcome to you, Kyndon. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Well, great. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
We know you artists have very busy schedules, so we appreciate every moment that we can get with you. So
anytime, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a crazy night for us too, but especially for you guys, always on the go, and I'm sure you got gigs and all that. Where are you right now, Kyndon?
So I'm in Franklin. Yep. Was it south of Nashville, kind of
near Nashville,
southwest? Yeah. Near Nashville, yeah.
And this is your hometown, correct?
So I'm actually, I currently live with my fiance. That was recent, but
well, congratulations!
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have my place in Nashville, but it's a little easier out here, and yeah.
Probably not as busy.
That's the luxury of it. It is not nearly as busy. Traffic is normal, I would say, out here.
What is your hometown though? My
hometown, my hometown, small town Kansas, Independence, Kansas.
Oh.
So the Independence. Yeah. So southeast Kansas, bottom corner.
Is that tornado area?
It's not too bad. It's actually a lot like this area here, where it's just rolling hills and trees and everything. Heck, I grew up. You remember Keith Anderson?
Yes, very well.
Yeah, so not too far from Keith. So Keith was from Miami, Oklahoma, and we're probably maybe 45 minutes to an hour from each other. So, so it's just bottom corner there in Kansas, but not many tornadoes there.
I forever, whenever I even hear Kansas, I immediately go to the Wizard of Oz, and I immediately go to just tornado, alley. So that's why whenever I even hear Kansas, that's, and what a life that might be to live in that type of area where you're fearful of that.
Well, there was one actually in Andover, which is near Wichita, Kansas, which is about an hour and a half from where I grew up, and that was, I guess, maybe a month ago or so. They had one, so I mean, they happen, but yeah.
I think of the Wizard of Oz, and I think of who was it? The Wicked Witch on the bike, and Toto in the basket. Toto, or whatever that was. But, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You're right, though, Deb. You're right. We think of the Midwest. We think about tornadoes, but what really is everywhere they get tornadoes now. We just had one here in the Northeast yesterday. I mean, it wasn't here where we are, but very close. So it's kind of crazy. Let's talk about you a little bit and your music. So instead of the weather, because I am not a meteorologist and I have no idea what a tornado. Well, I do know, but you know what I'm saying.
But his music's way more important anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you doing? You're out on your own, doing your own thing now?
Yeah. So we split up. Lockland split up. Golly, that would have been pushing 2 years now, I think. It was pretty much right after COVID. And we kind of just decided to part ways, and creative differences, and we all get along. It's all cordial. But Michael went and did his thing. Mark's doing his thing, and I decided to do my solo thing. And so I just spent time writing and took a trip to Colorado with some co-writers. Wrote about 5 really solid songs, came back, and I was like, I'm going to record these. And so recorded the songs and started an album, and and then just released a single recently. So.
Wow. So what got you first into music?
I just grew up enjoying music, just singing. I used to sing to my grandma, who's my mammy is what I call her, but I used to sing to her. And I just enjoyed it, but I also did sports. So I was heavily involved in sports. So that kind of distracted me from really pursuing music earlier. Played a couple years of college baseball and then football. And that's when I finally moved to Nashville, was about pushing 13 years ago. But yeah, I was always, picked up guitar, kind of late bloomer. It's probably around, I want to say 17 or so.
Oh,
started learning guitar. Yeah. And I'd always sing in choir and be in like show choir and stuff like that. And once I learned how to play guitar, I started writing and just kind of learning that craft. And never really looked back after that. So
how did you move to Nashville and then you connected with the other guys to form the band? How long were you guys together as a band?
Well, as a band, we were together for probably a total of 2 years, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So really, but we'd all known each other for like 9 years. Mark and I were best friends and known each other for roughly 9 years. And then I met Michael through Mark. And one day we were writing, and they were singing harmonies, and we just I like, what if we just did a trio? And they're like, okay. Like, we didn't even think twice about it, and we started the trio, and that's how that happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, so sometimes when artists are just getting started and they're with a band, you'll go from one band to another band to another band, and then figure out that's the path you want to take, or I'd rather be solo kind of thing. So, and you've been there 13 years, so you've had quite the journey going on here.
Yeah, and most of it was solo. Most of it was just playing writers' rounds and writing with as many people as I could, and always trying to play the listening room and stuff like that. And so the band, that was the first time doing a band thing. But I wouldn't say, I didn't we didn't break up or split up from the band part not working, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. You've played the listening room, you said. Have you played the Bluebird?
I have pplayed the Bluebird. Am I frozen here?
No.
Oh, it's just frozen on my screen.
You're good.
It'll come back.
Right. I have played the Bluebird, but it's just been, just in passing. It wasn't like the actual round. But I always enjoyed it. Yeah.
Tell us about the single that you're releasing to radio.
So the single I'm releasing, I wrote this. This was actually kind of the start of my solo career. I started the song myself, and then got together with a good buddy of mine, Ren Anderson, and we just kind of tweaked the song, and it wrote itself. And I fell in love with it. It's like one of my dad's favorite songs. So he and my mom both fell in love with it, and everybody that had heard it just really enjoyed it. And so that was the start of the solo career. And that's when I started, getting in the studio and recording. But I mean, we released that song, and it's hit radio. It impacts the music row stations, I think, on the 23rd. Okay. And so, just kind of enjoying the ride. You
got to love it. What's the name of it?
Better.
Tell everybody.
Yeah, it's called Better. Yeah.
Better. Well, that's simple. Better. No, I knew that. I wanted you to tell everybody.
Yeah. You were writing this about your wife, right? If I understand. Was that about your wife? Your fiance. Fiance, sorry. Almost wife.
Oh. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you didn't hear my screw up, so that's good.
Well, I had one too because my AirPods died.
Skip happens. Remember.
Yes, that's what we love about this podcast. Exactly. Anything goes, really. So I had said you had written that song about your wife, and then Skip had corrected me. It's your fiance. So that'll be my next question. We'll get to that in a second. So how did this come about? Writing the song referring to her?
Yeah, so actually I didn't even know her at the time. I had written this song and didn't, I knew it was for my future person. I knew that's what I wanted in a relationship. And when I found her, it was like it just was the perfect fit. And so it just happened to be, I mean, I call it God's work, but
When are you getting married? Do you have a date?
So November 7th, or November, yes.
Oh, you better get it right, dude.
November 12th. November 12th. Well, it changed. It was December 17th, and now it's November 12th.
So
that's awesome.
How does she realizes this song now is about her?
Yes.
And how is she with that? Like, some people might be like, oh, that feels weird, or, you know, something. So
no, she's pretty comfortable with it. She likes it, you know, and I've written some other stuff, you know, she hadn't heard yet, but there's some other ones on the way that she'll know for sure about her. But yeah.
Now, you've opened up for people like Big and Rich. I'm reading Cam, some of those others, Aaron Watson, who I absolutely love. I mean, great music.
Yeah.
You've had that opportunity to open up for these great artists.
Yeah. Aaron Watson, I opened up for him in Colorado in the mountains, and that was just
cool.
like amazing. Being out there, Big and Rich, like I think Florida, Ohio, and that was with Lachlan, that we opened up for Big and Rich. And what an opportunity. I remember one show in particular, we were in Florida, and we showed up, and it was the night before, I believe, and Joe Diffie and then Shenandoah both there, and so it just so cool to see.
That would have been a great show.
Yeah, it was just so cool, and you know, we didn't get to meet Joe Diffie, but we did meet Shenandoah.
Yeah, it was shortly after that we lost Joe.
Yep.
So
exactly. So,
wow.
That's the 90s country era, correct?
Yeah, that's my favorite era.
Yes.
Yeah, I grew up on 90s country. I love 90s country.
I just can't see. I mean, I love the music out there today. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I just feel like that just tops it. There's just something about that.
Yeah. I can tell you that from my angle and what I have to do every day, and I see a lot of the research and a lot of the surveys that come back, the 90s and early 2000s country is what's most asked for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why you're starting to hear it a whole lot again, is because, believe it or not, the younger demo wants to hear that.
Yeah.
So it's all coming back.
Yeah, and I'm all about it. I think Texas does a really good job of it. You know, there's Texas country, but then been a lot more artists like Cody Johnson and those folks that are coming through that to me are 90s country like influenced. And so I think, I mean, hey, more power to everybody. That like your music, your sound is all you and needs to be you. But yeah, my preference is definitely more like 90s country.
I think you're kind of a little bit in that direction with this song that you have out now. And I was listening to your Nashville song earlier several times because I really like that song. And I saw that you had Michael Boris was one of the co-writers
very cool.
on that song too. So that's kind of cool that you all just stay connected. And
well, so we were actually going to release Nashville as a Lachlan song. That was the plan. We were kind of holding on to it and sitting on it. And then when we split, I was like, hey, it's too good not to release it. So I personally put it out there. And so we were all involved on that one. But yeah, that Nashville is definitely more 90s country.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love them.
What is Kyndon? What's your creative process like when you sit down to write?
Oh, Skip, it just depends. You know, there are times when, you know, you're just in an emotional state, whatever that may be. You may be just all up in your feels, and you just sit down and you just start writing something, whatever you're feeling, just whatever comes to mind, you just start, you know, writing it down. There are other times when you get with co-writers and you have no idea what you're going to write, and sometimes magic happens. You write something great, and then there are other times where you're like, it takes 3 or 4, you know, sessions just to get the song written. But for me personally, like when I just sit down with the guitar and I start playing, that's where I at least get good ideas, and then I usually those to a writing session.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I think I've done that a couple times already to him tonight.
Usually it's the other way around, because sometimes I just don't stop talking.
So do you feel like there's a lot of pressure when you're going out doing a co-write and you kind of know you're going out there to try to build or, you know, basically birth something that you want to be successful or get out there, whatever that level of success is. And then if you walk away and something didn't jive, or does that not really happen? Because I'm not a creative person, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, it happens. You know, some, I mean, relationship, I mean, co-writes are like relationships, friendships, whatever. I mean, sometimes there's chemistry and it works great, and there's other times when there's no chemistry, and it doesn't make the other person a bad writer or you a bad writer. Just sometimes it doesn't mesh. But most of the time, like, I don't feel a lot of pressure. I'll usually try to come prepared, and I'm writing with people that I'm comfortable with and that are good writers, that I don't feel like, I think the hardest thing for a writer is you go into a session and you're afraid to speak up and say something because you don't want to sound stupid.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that one thing that you think is going to sound stupid is like the one thing that can make a song, you know?
Yeah.
There's been times where I'm like, oh, that's dumb. Don't say that. And then I'll say it and they're like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. You know? So I usually don't feel too much pressure. But early on, I would say early on in my career, when I first moved here, writing with people I didn't really know. Yeah, I used to write with like Lainey Wilson.
Oh, very cool.
And she's such a genuine person and a phenomenal writer. I used to write with her quite a bit, and you know, some of these other people. But I would write, and you kind of get nervous a little bit. But now I don't get too nervous or feel pressure. I guess, yeah.
All right. Well, you've been around a little bit too.
I'm
You're seasoned. I like that word, seasoned.
Yeah.
Seasoned.
I'm seasoned. I'm not old.
Exactly. Seasoned.
So when you're seasoned, you've been around a little bit. But what are you called if you've been around too long?
Time to go, maybe? I don't know.
There is no description for that.
No, there is no description.
Sorry.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. When you get out and do your shows, do you have a favorite song you like to perform?
You know, since I've done my solo act, I haven't really performed. I focus more on the studio. But when I was performing a lot with Lachlan, Dust on the Bottle. I mean, pretty much 90s country. I mean, that was always something I would go to. You know, anything that's 90s country that's Vince Gill or what else did we sing? We sang Joe Diffie. I mean, one of my all-time favorite songs is "Love Me" by Colin Ray.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
He's one of my all-time favorite artists.
Yeah, too.
So I haven't seen him in a while.
Well, didn't we? It was CRS, I think, the year that we shut down. I want to say it was 2020. I think Colin Ray was on the stage outside the main ballroom at the hotel at the Omni. Yeah, it's been a while, but I mean, what a great artist! Just I love all his songs. The guy rocks too. I mean, let's just face it. And he lets loose. It's pretty awesome.
He's a great artist. Yeah,
absolutely. What's if you weren't doing music, what do you think you'd be doing?
You know, I'd be working in finance. You know, I don't want to say the cliche of you know, Luke Combs. If I were, you know, doing this, I'd still be doing this. But
boom.
Yeah, I grew up in finance. My dad's a banker. My great grandpa was a banker. My brother's a banker. My mom works in the bank as well. And so,
wow,
it was just something that always came easy to me. I mean, I'd love to say that I'd like to be a professional athlete too, but I don't. That probably was never going to happen. But you
never know, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, back in the day, but I mean, okay.
Yeah.
But, so you're a man that likes to work with numbers.
I do. Yeah, I enjoy numbers. That's essentially like my day job. You know, I go out and I get loans or find loans, typically investments.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I invest in investment properties myself as well, and just I enjoy that stuff too.
And right now it's pretty crazy, right?
It is crazy. What a time. It's gonna get crazier. Yeah, I think it's gonna get crazier with rates and everything going up.
What do you say? I know we're not talking music here for a moment or two, but what do you see happening?
Well, rates are definitely going up. I think they're already getting in the 6s for residential. I think they're going to increase to the 7s. I mean, my personal thing is I think people are going to stop buying for a little bit. So if you own a rental property, it'll be a really good time because people are going to say, well, hey, I'll just rent for now and I'll wait till rates come down. So, but outside of that, eventually I think they'll come down, but you just don't know. It's kind of like gas prices, right? I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah, seriously. One day it's one thing, the next day it's 30 cents more. So, and then there's other times it'll drop 30 cents. I have no idea.
Keep hoping it's hit its peak and then it just keeps climbing, you know?
What I do is when I hit half a tank, I go to the gas station. because then it's not so much on the wallet, and you know what I mean. Seriously, I mean, I know, I get it, but it's just when I hit half a tank, I'm putting gas in my car.
Well, you I mean, between COVID and everything that happened, it's like you hit half a tank, you want to put gas in your tank just in case they run out or something happens. It's like the toilet paper crisis, you know.
So when I was younger, Skip, do you remember there was a gas shortage?
Yes. It was odd even.
So we were not allowed to get gas on certain days. And I was young then, and I just could not understand how could there be a gas shortage?
Yeah.
But now going through the whole COVID thing and the toilet paper thing, and you really do have to be prepared, because you just never know.
All right. I'm going to say it. Somebody's making money somewhere. Enough. Okay, let's talk about music.
Someone is. Yes.
Absolutely. What's the best advice you've ever been giving as a newer artist, although you are seasoned. But what's the best advice?
Best advice. I mean, something that I've always gone off of is opportunity has an expiration date. A buddy of mine used to say that, and I'm sure that was quoted from somebody else, but he used to say that during like baseball in high school. And I remember that always stuck with me, is opportunity has an expiration date. So you always want to just make sure you capitalize on any opportunity you're given. Just make sure you're prepared and capitalize on it.
Awesome stuff. And if you could collaborate with anybody, these are questions I ask a lot of artists, just because it's so interesting to hear the answers. If you could collaborate with anybody, who would that be?
Oh, well, I mean, Colin Ray would definitely be one. One of my dream collaborations too was with Little Texas, which we actually when we were with Lachlan, worked with Tim Rushlow and did a little mashup there. So, another random one would be the Goo Goo Dolls.
There you go.
I love the Goo Goo Dolls. To see them at Red Rocks in July, and I just have always loved their music.
They've been around a long time when I think about this, and they started in upstate New York in Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're out of Buffalo, and wow, I didn't realize they were still doing their thing.
Yep, they're still at it, still going strong.
Wow.
They come to Buffalo quite often, actually.
Yeah.
Well, they're from Buffalo, Deb.
I know. Well, it took me a while to learn that. And then
maybe they go home.
Well, the funny thing is, my daughter, I have my older daughter, I'll say, I may not, she'll ask if she would say, you want to go to a certain show? I'll say, well, I don't know their music. Like Goo Goo Dolls was one of them. She goes, you know all their music. And then she puts all these songs on. I'm like, I know that song. I know that. I didn't know they sang that song, because if it wasn't country, I would hear it because they had it on the radio, but I never paid attention to who the artist or the band was. So they're awesome. So that would be a great collaboration.
They're like the king of ballads, and I love ballads. That's that's my go-to.
That's
absolutely
phenomenal. The songs that you're starting to put out now, are they all going towards the next album, or are they going to stay singles and you're doing
they'll go towards the next album. I'm just kind of releasing singles. I'll probably release a couple more and then release the album. But I'm also still like, there's one song I'm waiting to get mastered. Got two other songs that I hope to put on the album, but we're still kind of working it out and writing them. They'll go on the album.
Very cool. And how soon do you think that's going to happen?
I don't know. It's up in the air. I think, like I said, I think we'll put another single or two out and then put the album out. So, yeah.
It's a long process to actually create an album. Like long, and I hear these bits and pieces, it has to be mastered. It has to be mixed. I don't know when all of this happens, but all of a sudden the song is just there. Yeah. But it probably took an artist. How long could it take to have a song or an album?
I wrote Better. I wrote that probably 3 years ago.
See?
Roughly 3, two and a half, something like that. But it just takes so much time. I mean, you go in the studio and you record it, and then you're kind of going back and forth trying to get everything right. And then go to the mixer. Well, the mixer, it's like, it's just hurry up and wait, right? So you send that off and you're waiting on them. They send it back and you're like, okay, tweak this. Then you send it to the masters. And so it's just like, it's just always a waiting game.
when that has to get mixed, it has to go by what you want it to sound like, correct?
Yeah,
when they're sending it to what you vision. Okay.
Yeah, me and my team. So we listen to it and we go, okay, hey, we need this. Like the vocal needs to come up or the vocal needs to come down. This needs, you know, and yeah. So that's how we work it.
Someday I'd like to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Somebody is starting a song from a co-write to the end result when it's on the radio. I don't know when I'll have time.
A lot of work.
But
yeah,
it's a lot of work.
Are you mixing down? I know you said you had a team, but do you mix down your own stuff at home? Do you have a studio? Do you have like Pro Tools or something like that you can jump in and mix your own music?
Yeah, so I have that stuff, but I don't do that. So I have, I mean, the guys that I work with are so great. So Lee Turner has his own studio, 22 studios, and Lee actually plays for Darius Rucker. He plays keys for Darius Rucker.
Yeah, I've heard of Lee Turner. I know.
Yeah, Lee's great. Lee is he's such a genuine person. And then Rin and Lee, they co-produce all my stuff. John Mason, who plays for Darius as well. So I have kind of a foundation with Darius and his guys, because that was the reason why I moved to Nashville. So John, the bass player, I met him in Colorado. And he was like, if you're serious about music, you need to move to Nashville. And so, you know, it's been 13 years ago. I just was like, all right. So I moved in. I essentially moved in with him, lived with him for a little while. And then he went through a divorce and some stuff. And so he lived with me for a while, but we've been, you know, best friends forever. And so I've grown in Nashville just knowing all those guys. And yeah, so, but as far as mixers go, we have such great people we work with. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
they do what they do best.
They do it. If I did it, I think you'd be disappointed.
It would not be the best, right?
It's not right. No, it's not easy. I know from a production standpoint with Pro Tools. I mean, that takes a while to learn and to understand what it does and what it doesn't do. And sometimes that's a very powerful tool. And it can make you sound like awesome, but you got to have the right person doing it.
Yeah. So Sean Moffitt is the one who mixes these, and Sean,
nice.
He's phenomenal. Yeah, he works with like Dave Barnes and Patrick Roney and a lot of these guys that aren't country, but their sound is so amazing, and so he was great. But yeah,
I love it. Kyndon Oakes. You know, this has been a great conversation. Really interesting talking to you, and knowing that you were with Lachlan and we have some friends in common. Just, you know, now you got the song Better.
Yep.
And Better is being pushed to radio here rather quickly. If somebody wanted to get your music, you have a website, or is it all, you know, digital service providers? Where can we go to get those?
Yeah, all the above. So iTunes, Spotify, all those outlets. You can follow me on social media, which is just Kyndon Oakes, Kyndon Oakes, which is on the screen. That's my website as well. So www.KyndonOakes. Yeah.
And the old www.
Yep.
Are you performing in the Nashville area on a regular basis or any basis, or are you just strictly touring out with folks?
You know, I haven't booked any shows recently. I've been nonstop. I got asked to open up for Eli Young here in a couple weeks, but I had to
love those guys.
I know, I love them. I'm so disappointed I had to turn it down, but I'm sure I'm going to get some other ones on the books and start rocking and rolling. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we'll be looking for you then.
Yeah, we just had when was it, Deb? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Young band.
They were in
We
Syracuse.
did a show with them. So
yeah, they're great. I grew up on listening to them as well when I was younger, and
you know, they, like 21 years of making music.
Yeah.
Right there. It's hard to believe, but it's been that long.
Yeah, what was it? Do you remember Corey Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like that same era of Corey Smith.
Yes.
The Eli Young band.
Yeah. You know what? They're seasoned. So
they're seasoned. Exactly.
You know, that's going to be a regular word on our podcast.
Yeah, I know. I've made note of it here already.
Look at that.
I love it.
Thank
I
you
love
for
it.
contributing there.
Of
Yes,
course.
yes. We'll always remember Kyndon Oakes did that. He's seasoned. So that's good. Hey, thanks for joining us here tonight. And it's a pleasure talking to you, finding out about the song and what you're doing now. And I look forward to hearing your music real soon and seeing you out and about. If I come to Nashville, I'd love to take in a show. If you're playing out somewhere, Deb's there every other day. Not really, but every other week, probably.
Pretty much every other week. So
yeah, so it's just
that's what I said. I'd like to catch a show, so I'll have to watch your website for your schedule.
Great conversation. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Skip Happens.
Thank you so much for having me. And anytime, you guys feel free to reach out anytime. Even if you just want to grab lunch or something, I'm around.
Oh,
so. Dude, if it's food,
yeah, Skip's there. Food or baseball, Skip is there. I'll go for food and music.
See, we're a big baseball family. We used to host players. We've done all that here on the AAA level, and a lot of the players that have lived in this house have gone on to the major leagues, and we keep in touch. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, I love baseball. But I grew up with baseball and football.
Nothing better on a hot summer night than going to a ball game, having a beer, feet up, sitting back, watching a great game.
Yep.
Nothing better.
That's one thing I wish Nashville had was a professional baseball team.
Soon.
I hope.
Maybe.
Hawks. Yeah.
Well, they just got a soccer team, right? So maybe
they did.
baseball.
Yep, soccer. Yes,
and they have the Nashville Sounds.
They have the Sounds. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't hear what you said, Kyndon. What was that?
Oh, I just said soccer's not really my thing. So soccer didn't really excite me, but it excited a lot of people. But baseball definitely excites me.
Yeah.
What about curling? We found out Scotty McCreary is a curling fan.
Curling? I've never done that. Yeah. That's like a shuffleboard on the ground, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
How nice. I just thought that. Kyndon Oakes, thanks for joining us here tonight on Skip Happens. Deb and I, it's such a pleasure chatting with you and finding out what you're up to and hearing about the music. And we look forward to hearing a whole lot more real soon.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Kendall. What am I saying? Kendall.
Why are you saying Kendall?
Yeah.
Huh? Kindle.
No.
Right?
Kyndon.
Kendon. Jeez, I guess I should look at my own screen.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm messing with you guys. All right, forget it. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good night. Thank you, Kyndon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kendon. Thank you.